Okay, we're back with interviews part 2. If you haven't watched interviews part 1, do that now. I just wanted to go over leading questions for one more minute because I kind of rushed through it. You don't want to ask a question in an attempt to get a certain answer. So you want to avoid questions that put words in people's mouths. So instead of saying, "Were you scared?" you would say, "How did you feel?" Okay? Great. So on to the interview. So here's some things I'm going to go over: how to dress, observation, the basics, ethics, and getting the tough info. So dressing for an interview. You want to dress appropriately. The most important thing, because people always wear these to class, don't wear a baseball cap, and rethink your facial piercings. People of a certain age don't want to see people with things sticking out of their faces. I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. So, think about who you're interviewing. Think about who you're interviewing. Remember that you're representing your publication, so you want to dress appropriately. So, it depends on what you're covering. So if you're going to a city council meeting, you're going to maybe wear a nice shirt. You don't have to wear a tie to a city council meeting. At least not in Greeley. Maybe if you were covering the Denver City Council. So you want to dress appropriately for that. You're not going to wear shorts. You're not going to have a t-shirt on. If you're going to a sporting event, you still have to dress appropriately. You still do not want to wear a baseball cap to a sporting event. You want to look like you're there to cover it, not to play. You want to wear a nice polo shirt and a nice pair of jeans, and so that you look professional. And this goes for photographers as well. Sometimes photographers think they don't have to dress appropriately. Well, they do. Remember, you're representing your publication. If you're going to a beach party on 4th of July, you could wear shorts, but you're not going to wear a ratty pair of shorts. You're going to wear a nice pair of shorts. And remember, don't wear revealing clothing either. Revealing clothing is inappropriate. If you're going to a Chamber of Commerce luncheon, you probably need to wear a tie or a nice blouse. Okay, so think about what you're covering. All right, think about what you're covering. If you're going to a dinner, sit-down dinner to cover something, then, you want to dress appropriately. So, one of the most important things about interviewing is to use observation. Use observation. The interview is more than asking questions and getting answers. Okay? You have to use observation. And we talked about observation earlier. But remember to use all your senses. Remember to use all your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you taste? What do you feel? All right? Not what do you feel inside, but what do you feel with your fingers? That can come in handy sometimes. So if you're interviewing a basketball coach, you're going to have maybe the sound of the basketball hitting the floor and the smell of the gym. If you're interviewing a baker, you're going to have a sweet smell, and you're going to have, the looks and the sounds of the bakery. Okay, so you want to have that detail. You want to have details. It's not just quotes. So observation is key, especially for a feature story. Interview basics. The number one thing that you need to know is ask if you're unsure. There are going to be things that you don't understand during an interview, and you have to ask. It might be embarrassing to ask somebody, what does that mean? But you have to do it. I always say this: it's better to be embarrassed in front of one person than in front of 1,000 or thousands of people who are going to read your story online and see your mistake. So if you don't understand it, ask. And the other thing you want to do during the interview is double check spelling of all names. People, places, and things. Double check spellings of people, places, and things. And, you double check it in the interview, but then you check it again. Like for instance, if it's a town name, check it online before you write your story. Or where they worked, the name of a business, check that. Okay, interview ethics. First of all, if you are interviewing someone, a lot of times people like to say, well, you can interview me, but I have to read the story before it goes to press. Or I have to read the story before you print it. Don't do that. Don't agree to that. Don't agree to that. It's unethical. What they're doing is they're trying to intimidate you. And they're trying to say, well, you have to write it well enough so I like it and make me look good. And so you don't want that to affect your writing. So if they want to do that, just say, my professor says I can't do that, or just say, my editor doesn't allow me to do that, because it's unethical to do that. And remember, ethics is the right thing to do. The right thing to do. Just don't do it. Interview someone else. But don't let them push you around like that. Don't let them push you around like that. They might not even know that that's unethical. So just say, I've been told not to do that. Off the record, you can't use it, so don't, or just say it's off the record. So they didn't, you can't say so-and-so told me this if it's off the record. And then ask them why they don't want to use it. Sometimes they're just, sometimes they just, they're not the person to ask. Maybe there's someone else that can give you that information. And don't use anonymous sources, please. No anonymous sources for this class. In general, you don't want to use anonymous sources because it takes away from your credibility. But sometimes there are times when you can use anonymous sources. Just don't do it, well, it's probably not a good idea right now. If someone was raped or if their life is in danger, then you can use an anonymous source. But in general, I would say avoid them. The tough info. Save your tough questions to the end. Get a good rapport going with someone at the beginning. The beginning of the interview, you want it to be like a conversation. Ask them about their kids, ask them about their favorite sports team, ask them about what do you see in their desk? What do you see in their office? What are they drinking if they're drinking coffee? What are they drinking? Ask them why they like coffee or whether they like coffee or tea. Try to break the ice. Then, towards the end of the interview, you can ask the hard questions. Because if you're going to get thrown out of the office, you want it to happen at the end. One thing you can do to get tough information is act naive, because people love to talk about what they know. So if you say, I don't really understand that, even if you do understand it, if you say, I don't understand it, and they start explaining it to you, they're going to talk more. If they won't give you the info, ask who can. Maybe they just don't have it. And don't give up. Be persistent. Be persistent. Don't just try once. Keep trying and, call them back and, just be persistent. You can't give up easily in this job. You're going to get turned down. You're going to have people that don't like you, who don't like journalists, who don't like newspapers. You got to just get used to it, and you've got to try again. And then when you end the interview, there's a couple things you want to do. Check any facts that you're unsure of. Check the spelling of their name again. And then, very important, always at the end of an interview, ask if there's anything they would like to add. Because maybe they were waiting to tell you something, but you didn't ask about it. So there's this great bit of info that they want to give you, but you didn't ask about it. So always ask if there's anything else. And then let the source know you're going to call if you have questions. Get their phone number and ask them when a good time to call is. Now remember, if you have to call at 1 a.m., call at 1 a.m. I mean, if the paper's going to print and you need to check something, you need to check it. So always, but it's always better to check it first. Don't wait till the last minute. It's better to wake somebody up than to get it wrong in print. Okay, so the Postview. Whoops. Okay, so the Postview is part 3. And the post view is when you call back with questions and check the facts. Call back with questions and check the facts. So there are certain facts that you're always going to check. Names of people, places, and things, dates, historic occurrences, phone numbers, addresses, and locations. You're going to check all those. If you get those wrong, it's an F. So you want to get those right. Those are things that you get those wrong in a story, and that ruins the story. It's not a good story anymore. So you want to check all those. Names, dates, historic occurrences, phone numbers, addresses, and locations. So where do you check? One place you can check is the official website. The official website. So in other words, if you want to see how to misspell McDonald's or Starbucks, you want to go to the official McDonald's or Starbucks website. Don't just go to any old site. Online almanacs are great to check facts. Almanacs are books of facts. So an online almanac is great, like InfoPlease or almanac.com. You can check in recent phone books. You can actually check a book. Some things don't change. For instance, when was Lincoln president? Or when was Lincoln born? That's not going to change, so you don't, even if the book is old, it's still going to work. Some places not to check facts. Don't use the following: newspapers, magazines, or other news sites, because news sites can be wrong because they're published so frequently. So you want to avoid those as fact checkers. Don't use Wikipedia because anyone can check it. Wikipedia, or anyone can edit it. Wikipedia is a good place to start your research, but it's not a good place to end your research. So no news sites and no Wikipedia. So just to review the preview, do your research and then ask some good questions. Make sure to call the person on the phone and then make the interview a real interview, not a chat or an email. And then the interview, you want to follow ethics and you want to always ask if you're unsure. And then the post view, you want to always check those facts: names, dates, historic occurrences, addresses, emails, locations. Remember, names of people, places, and things, not just names of people, places and things too. So be careful with that. Remember, it's an F if you get a fact wrong. So you want to make sure to check. So when you do your interview, remember, preview, interview, post view. Do all three and you'll write a great story. If you don't do all three, there's no way you can write a great story. And like I said, I can tell when I read a story that people have not done the preview or have not done the post view. So make sure you do it. Make sure you check your facts. Make sure you plan well. And just going to say it again, no email interviews, no chat interviews. Okay, great. Good luck with your interviews.